Hello friends. Today we are going to discuss about class and objects. So before that, let's understand what is an entity. So we know like classes and objects are the building blocks of Java. They basically we will learn about the OOPS concept. Like Java is object oriented programming. So to understand object-oriented programming, we need to first of all we need to understand what is the object, right? So we can see in real world everything is an object. So like in another words, like when we are going to define entity, so we know like entity can be a physical entity or logical entity. So we can another way we can say it as a tangible and intangible. Tangible means something we can touch, we can feel, and intangible means something we can't touch, right? So it is not having existence in real world, but it exists. Like in terms of tangible, like we can see like car, bike, television, mobile phone. There are so many things that you can touch, you can feel. These are tangible objects. So apart from that, there are like banking systems, and we are having different departments in an uh, industry. So these are the things that we can't touch, we can't feel it, but it exists, and we can see whenever there is some transaction is going on, we can see there are some deductions happen and some credit happen on another side. So these are intangible, right? So entity which is having state and behavior as well, and these are known as object. So uh, next is like object. So object in Java is physical as well as logical entity. So we can see like everything in our real world is an object. Right? Like whenever we are going to define in physics, so we can say it, everything is an object, and it is some things are having like physical state and something is having like logical state. So object is in Java is physical as well as logical entity. So if we see the characteristic of an object, so it is having a state, behavior, and identity. So we will understand what is a state. State means it represents data of an object. Data as in, let's say we have given example as a car. So it is having some attributes, right? So we can say like what is the color of the car, what is the model of the car, right? How many wheels are there, how many engines are there. So these are the things that from which we can identify the cars, right? And in terms of behavior, like it represents the behavior of an object. Like there is some car, but it is having some functionality. So like driving is something which we do with the use of car. We can apply the brakes. So these are the mechanism, right? So these are the behavior of an object of an car. Right? So and next is identity. So identity is basically by which we identify a car or any object. So it's a unique identity by which any object is being represented, or we can identify an object based on that unique ID. And this unique ID being used internally by JVM to identify each object uniquely. So in order to identify object, there should be some unique identifier. From that, we can identify an object. So we can understand like everything in The world that we see is an object, right? An object is having some attributes and its behavior, and we need to identify an object by some unique identifier, right? In real world, we can relate like there would be some car, so car is having some attributes as in like color, model. Apart from that, there it is having some behavior. There would be some mechanism, like it is being used for driving. It is being used like we can apply brake. So these are the mechanism, right? And apart from that, this particular car is mine, or it belongs to someone else, right? So it can be identified using some unique identifier. It can be number plate, it can be anything like chassis number. So we can identify that object with the use of this unique identifier. So now we are clear with the object, right? So next we are going to understand like the definition part of it. So we can define an object in many ways. Like object is a real world entity. Yes, we have seen that. And object is an instance of a class. So we will understand the class. And after that, like we can correlate how it's a instance of a class. Right. Next, we can define object is a runtime entity. In another way, we can say object is an entity which have state and behavior that we have seen earlier, right? So entity is having like a state and behavior. So state is something like it is having we can define the car attributes or object attributes, and behavior is something that is in another way we can say the functionality of an object, like the car is being used to drive, we can apply brake, right? These are the- So next we are going to understand the class. So class is basically a blueprint that defines attributes and behavior of objects, right? So class are associated with objects, attributes, and methods. So let's understand with respect to object. So let's say we are having a car class, right? So car is having some attributes, model number, like color. So these are the attributes of a car. Apart from that, there should be some behavior, or in another way, in Java, we can call it as a methods. So there would be some methods. Methods means there should be some functionality supported by that particular class or that particular object. So what are the functionality of an car? Of a, so we can apply brake, we can drive it, right? We can accelerate it. So these are the functionality of a car, right? So these are the things that comes under the behavior or methods. And apart from that, like whenever there is a class being created, there would be some unique identifier and by which we can identify a object. So a class in Java can contain like below field. It can contain fields, methods, constructors, blocks, nested class, and interface. So we will understand these things in detail. So for now, like we understood about fields and methods. But apart from that, like constructor, blocks, nested class, interface, that we are going to see in later section. Right. So thank you so much for listening. Please do like, subscribe the video. Thank you so much.